Hello everyone, thanks for joining us today on Büchi Bits. I'm Tyson Rowland here with Büchi. In this bit, I'm going to dive into our new proximate NIR system, as well as give a brief overview of our entire NIR portfolio. I'll also get more application specific by showing how NIR can be used for potency testing of cannabis. Okay, I promised some NIR talk, but let's first get on the same page with what near infrared exactly is. A lot of us have probably seen that iconic image of the visible light spectrum. If you haven't, well then, here you go. This is the energy we are all exposed to every day, and the wavelength of that light reads back to our eyes as a color. The light or visible region of energy, though, is actually only a small portion of the story. At increasing and decreasing wavelengths of energy, we have different forms of light. The region we're going to hone in on is right next to the visible region and just a little lower in energy, which we know as the near-infrared region. So how does this help us? Well, this is where it gets pretty cool. Near-infrared can be directed at a sample and the reflectance can be measured to produce a spectrum. Those spectra, after some calculations, are then proportional to the organic properties you're trying to quantify. If you visited the Büchi website, you've probably noticed a range of NIR instrumentation. Each one of these systems that you'll see all operate on the same principle, but have minor differences to allow for users like yourself to choose the best instrument for the job at a price point that's most suitable for your budget. The Proximate on the far left is our newest to the portfolio, and we'll get into those details coming up. The Nir Master and Nir Flex operate using FT-NIR. The Nir Master is the more rugged version with an IP65 rated outer shell to protect against dust and debris. The Nir Flex has more accessories to allow you to modify how you present your sample to the instrument and is really tailored for clean R&D labs. On the far right, you'll see our Nir Online system. It's roughly the size of a shoebox and will allow you to measure instantaneously as sample passes by. This would be used in a pure production setting. The cool part here, and really unlike typical instrumentation development, is that the Nir Online system came out before the Proximate did. But we like the software and features and durability of the Nir Online system so much that we decided to put those advancements in a benchtop version. Thus, the Proximate was born. Proximate is Büchi's first all-inclusive benchtop diode array NIR instrument. As you can see here, the operating system is built in and can be accessed from the large touchscreen on the front. The instrument is just over a foot wide and a foot and a half deep. At under 40 pounds, this can easily be moved or used in any mobile scenario. What I like best though, is that when Büchi set plans to develop this instrument, we wanted to create something more than just a Me Too product. We had a wish list of more than a few features that had never been introduced into the NIR world yet, and that's what I'm going to show you now. Number one comment we received from customer feedback is the focus on durability and uptime. And our team really felt strongly that this should just be standard as opposed to an optional line item. Without question, our goal was achieved here. This is the first NIR ever built with an Ingress Protection 69 rating. With FDA approved seals and metal building materials, this instrument is really stitched up to take on the worst environments. You can literally get this instrument dirty and spray it off with a hose or wash it down like you would your car. Though I'd advise probably not walking it through a car wash. Okay, the second wish we had was to improve the ease of use with the software. The NIRWise software package is completely redesigned to be as intuitive as possible. You have a few tabs across the top to run new samples, create calibrations, and of course review data. Most of the time though, a user will just be in the Run tab where they will have to input the name of the sample and hit the big green play button. 15 seconds later, a result will show up. My favorite feature is our ability to add new calibration points in just a few seconds. This can be performed by running a sample, highlighting the sample to mark it as a reference sample, inputting the known value, and then hitting the auto cal button. If you've ever worked with NIR chemometrics packages in the past, then you know that this process is significantly improved over third-party or external software options. From a hardware perspective, we've also been able to get creative here as well. In past cases, benchtop NIR instruments were built to see the sample as either an up view or down view configuration. This can limit the user's flexibility on how they prepare and present the sample to the instrument. The Proximate is the first instrument of its kind to allow for both options to be added to one system. I would estimate most labs are using UpView, but DownView does have its advantages. For example, if glass is prohibited and you need to use a plastic petri dish, then DownView will help so that we don't have to analyze through the plastic, since plastics can be inconsistent in allowing light to pass through. Also, if you're working on an older system with the DownView calibration, this will allow for easier transfer of that calibration to the newer approximate. The last benefit comes if you are running larger particles or inhomogeneous samples. The DownView will allow for a larger tray to be rotating and analyzing a greater portion of your sample. This can add a good deal of precision to your results. So one more point that I like to highlight is the really nice potential for a fast return on investment if you put the time in up front to get your calibration situated the way you want it. Not only is NIR significantly faster than primary techniques like Keldal or Duma, but it also requires zero consumable consumption, making the cost per analysis next to nothing. Even better is that the work and effort put into your benchtop calibrations can then be later used for NIR Online applications, since the two really go hand in hand. You just heard me put some emphasis on the calibrations. Yes, these are the lifeblood of any good NIR setup. The instrument will only perform as well as the calibration provided. Of course, you can create these calibrations from scratch if you have reference materials of known values, or we can provide solid starter calibrations for a number of applications. You will have full control of these calibrations and have the ability to add more data points. The best part is that you'll own all your data. Not every company allows for this if you're allowing them to modify your calibrations, so keep this in mind. So let's use what I just went through and now apply it to how users are benefiting from this in the cannabis space. First and foremost is potency testing. Think about how labs are currently testing for THC or CBD concentrations. I guess in plant material, this is in the form of THCA or CBDA prior to decarboxylation. But most are using HPLC where run times can take 30 plus minutes. If you're lucky enough to have a UPLC system, you can probably cut this down by 50%. This is great and will serve as your primary method, but you'll still be limited to how many samples you can run per day and where you can run those samples at, meaning all liquid chromatographies have to be in a clean lab environment. You wouldn't even think about running these samples out by the truck where your raw material is being unloaded. NIR changes the game on that. Adding to the workload of LC is the fact that for a flower material, you'll first have to prep the sample to get the extracted material into an injectable form. With the NIR, the sample prep is completely reduced to typically just a simple grind of the flower. I like to grind the flower directly into a petri dish, wipe the bottom of the petri dish just to ensure it's clean, and then set the dish directly on the instrument. 15 seconds later, I'll have a result. A common question we always get is what to expect on the precision and accuracy. Accuracy will always come back to the calibration and quality of reference materials that you use to create your calibration. Precision will come down to your consistency in sample preparation and the concentrations. The closer we get to zero in concentration, the larger the precision will be. Remember, NIR is a screening tool. If you need to know the concentration of THC and it is non-detectable down to the part per million level, then HPLC is probably going to be needed for the sensitivity purposes. But if you're just trying to screen that your THC is below 0.3%, or you just want to ensure you're working with a high CBD, low THC base material, then NIR will be able to deliver a great solution for you. The nice part too is that NIR can work on both solids and liquids. So check this out. If you have some downstream oils that you want to quickly screen, you can use what we call a transflectance cover to pass the light through the oil and then back to the detector. This is not as common of a technique, but can certainly be done. In general, NIR can evaluate any organic property greater than 0.1%. I'd like to close just by highlighting the additional support and commitment Büchi has made to this market. Büchi has added a good amount of specialists over the last few years, and our team is continuing to grow. We have spent a lot of time not only improving the hardware for you, but also improving our support. We have service engineers and application specialists standing by to help support in any way possible. A range of service packages can be evaluated to have a care plan that is right for you. From simple additional warranty plans to full on-site professional service plans, we can work with your team to ensure you have the necessary support to stay up and running. And by the way, if you're thinking of doing anything mobile, we can help you out with that as well. Check out this case. Thank you all for taking the time to join Büchi Bits today, and for any inquiries, please email us-sales@büchi.com. Mention you watched this webinar and we'll be happy to help.